MoneyFM89.3. Good morning. It's the Breakfast Huddle. Elliott, Danker, Manisha, and Ryan Huang with you. Let's talk about how business owners, in fact, and marketeers are kind of in sort of the same situation right now.
Yeah, well, many of us are, aren't we? COVID-19 has caused many challenges for many people. And that means certainly where businesses and these companies are concerned, they've put previous marketing plans on hold. In some cases, they've even changed the way they operate.
Yes, so businesses trying to get back into gear right now. Their target market needs to know they are still there. So marketing, I mean, look, naturally, that's going to be vital when it comes to trying to get the word out about what a business has to offer, how you can get that sort of offer.
Yeah, we've seen that in particular with F&B and hospitality
Yes.
here in Singapore, haven't we?
Very true.
So consumers are taking to the internet to find out what they need. The right digital marketing campaign can, of course, help a business reach out to their audience and draw people in.
Oh, yeah. And most importantly, really, they can keep customers informed about their latest status.
Yep. So we ask, how can companies in Singapore take advantage of digital marketing amidst COVID-19?
On the line with us this morning is Jim Ng Wei Ta, General Manager, Best SEO Marketing. Jim, good morning.
Morning, Elliott. Morning, Manisha. How are you guys?
Very good, sir. Thank you so much for taking the time. I suppose, to put in context, Best SEO Marketing, you guys help companies with their digital marketing strategies. Could you tell us a little bit more about the company?
Yeah, sure. So typically what we do is we're a very conversions-focused agency, meaning to say that we typically help customer to get more revenue in the door. So we are basically in the business of building businesses, right? We typically want our clients to get more sales, more leads, more revenue. That's the only thing that we care about.
So we're giving you a chance to really sing about it here. Tell us your biggest success story.
Yeah, so we kind of have a bakery that kind of onboarded amidst the COVID-19 pandemic. They were kind of running short on sales and there was lesser foot traffic because of the circuit breaker and stuff. So what we did for them is we pivoted, right? We kind of created an e-commerce website for them. We got roughly about, I would say, $14,000 worth of sales within like less than 21 days. And the best part is we actually spent like $0 on advertising.
That's incredible.
Wait. Hang on, Jim. Bringing this up, I feel like I want to take things back a step a little bit. Because when you think digital marketing, I can't help but think, so like advertising on social media, and that costs money. But really, what is digital marketing?
Yeah, so if you think about digital marketing, right, digital marketing is just a broad umbrella of all like the marketing tactics that are under the umbrella of digital marketing. Okay. So it includes things like search engine marketing, search engine optimization, email marketing, right? Obviously, we got chatbots marketing. We also have social media marketing, which could be both organic and paid as well, depending on like the budget.
That was a really good question, actually, because, a lot of people miss that idea that it's made up of lots of different facets. Yeah. But, obviously, and you just talked about a company there that was a success story during COVID, but lots of clients must have come to you over the last few months. What's been their biggest worry? Yeah.
So that being said, right, Manisha, I think like most of them actually worry about how their business is going to survive through the whole COVID-19 pandemic because excuse me, because if they don't have any leads, right, they don't have any sales, they don't have any revenue coming in, their business is going to collapse, right? It doesn't really matter like, I have how good of a product or how good of a service, right? Because at the end of the day, if customers don't buy, your business is going to collapse. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, and if they don't know about your product, right?
Yeah, so typically, like, they must kind of have the word out there, right, that they kind of sell a certain product or a service that people are actively looking for. So that's kind of how we, in a way, we have businesses actually approach us and our sales, as a business, have tripled in the past couple of months since like COVID-19 because more businesses are pivoting, right, to digital marketing.
Okay, what are some of these businesses doing? What advice would you give to a business right now in the middle of COVID-19? What's a smart strategy to adopt?
Yeah, so now I'm just going to give like 3 simple strategies, right, that small businesses can directly implement right away to see some immediate results, right, to really get some revenue coming in the door. So the number one strategy that I would say, like, they should actually use, right, is to really look at their offer, to kind of really dig deep and understand what their customers are looking for. I know this sounds really, really fundamental, right, like who doesn't know about this? And however, if you really think about it, right, most businesses don't put enough thought into this process to really craft an offer, right, that is so irresistible that would make their customers buy. Right. So that's really the number one thing that they should look at, which is to really look at their offer and kind of like look at what kind of guarantees that they can offer that their competitors can't, right? And also what kind of warranties you can offer, and also what's the price point that you could undercut your competitors. And if you're not working by price point, then obviously the value, right, needs to be built around like some sort of guarantee or some sort of like thing that would set you apart from your competitor. And that's how you need to relook at their offer. So the second strategy that I would propose is that most business owners, right, they need to design a simple sales process and a strategic set of, I would say, web pages, right, on the website and whatnot to market that offer, right? And they can typically start off by running a targeted Google Ads campaign, which would essentially target people that, you know, are in the market, who are problem aware and are actively looking for a solution, right? That is the whole reason why they're typing something on Google. And this is where the lowest lying fruit is, so that businesses could get some revenue quick. So then after you kind of use these two strategies, right, the final strategy, right, would say, you know, is to kind of, once you've relooked the offer, you've kind of been running some Google Ads campaign, right, you can kind of start promoting that offer for free on Facebook groups that are niche specific, right? So say, for instance, if you're into like personal training, you want to go into like Facebook group that, you know, talks about personal training in Singapore, and you kind of just want to promote, you know, your website and you know, your services, right? But the key thing is, rather than kind of promoting, like what you want to do is you want to add value, right, to other people in advance, in the sense that, oh, you're going to talk about like 5 things you absolutely must do before you begin your personal training, right, before you begin your workout or whatever it is, right? That is what we call like, you know, adding value in advance before asking for anything in return. So those are really the 3 strategies that I would say most small businesses could implement for free, right? I mean, some are paid, some are free, so it really depends on their marketing budget.
Jim, I feel like you're giving away all the secrets and I'm loving it. Like, it's brilliant.
That's the whole point of this, Manisha.
You were talking about, you know, the importance of getting your offer right and really thinking about what your customer wants. In your experience over the last couple of months, has there been an example of an offer where you've thought, that is brilliantly thought out? Can you share with us?
Yeah, so we kind of have like a chiropractor, right, which is kind of one of our clients, right? He has this offer, right, where he would basically guarantee that he would fix like your neck, right, for free if, let's say, he doesn't, you know, give you the results that you want. And in fact, it's not just for free, but he's actually willing to pay, you know, the customer for the treatment that they get at another orthopedic surgeon or, you know, other chiropractor or whatever the case is, right? That is what we call an irresistible offer, right? In the sense that he would basically guarantee that he fixed like your neck pain. Otherwise, he will give you 200% of your money back, right? That's what we call an irresistible offer. It's impossible to refuse, right? For somebody that's in the market that's looking for a neck pain treatment.
Okay. I get that. And just as a follow-up to that, with everything that happened during COVID, is it actually an example of you just can't afford not to go down this route?
Well, I think it depends on like what's the objective of the business, right? Like if you open business for like profit, then obviously like you want to be able to spend enough on marketing, because like the reality is this, right? If you can't spend money to acquire a customer, you don't have a business, right? I'm not sure whether like Elliott or Manisha, whether you guys watch like Shark Tank, right?
Yes.
So yeah, you notice that Mark Cuban or like Kevin or Larry, right? They would always ask this question, and the question is this: what's the cost of acquiring a customer, right? And if you think about it, most business owners and entrepreneurs, right, they squirm when they get asked that question because they can't answer that question, right? The truth is, if you don't have like the metrics, right, the unit economics of like acquiring a customer, the cost of acquiring a customer, it really goes to show that you don't have a business, right? Because you don't have a predictable way of acquiring customers yet. That's why marketing in general is really not an expense. It's an investment, right? It's like a machine where you keep pumping money into it in order to acquire money out of it. So essentially for every $1 that goes in, either $2, $3, $4, or $5 comes out of it, right? It's naturally a feedback loop in that sense.
It's interesting you bring that up, Jim, and I can't help but want to expand a little bit more on that. I mean, you talked about the cost of acquiring a customer. It's one thing to know the cost. It's another thing to know how to arrive at the cost. Now we see digital marketing, e-commerce experiencing that 28% in growth during the COVID-19 pandemic. But before all this, do you think there was enough guidance for companies? Because people tend to throw the word digital marketing so loosely.
Yeah, I think in terms of guidance, right, like definitely the government has stepped in to say that, oh, we're actually offering grants. We're actually partnering up with web design agencies or digital marketing companies to kind of push digital marketing as the way to go for small medium businesses. But that being said, I think the government may use grants as a form of enticement, right? But as to whether business owners, or rather traditional business owners, right, kind of adopt the mindset, that is still questionable, right? Because a lot of them still rely on traditional media, traditional marketing, flyers, newspaper, billboards, and that kind of stuff, to kind of market themselves. So I think it's definitely a form of reluctance, right, for the the more experienced businessman that has been around for 30 years, 40 years to kind of have that mindset shift. And that's really where the challenge is. So I think the results speak for themselves, right? If you can kind of present a case study where, digital marketing has really worked well for a business, it would naturally give them that assurance that it would work for their business as well.
Jim, what's your view on Singapore and how Singapore fares on digital marketing relative to other major markets? So
I think in the Singapore context, really what I can say is our government has been really pushing out, the digital resilience grant and, for all the $10,000 project that you do, they kind of give you a 90% off, right? But that being said, it's only for selected digital marketing agencies. It's not out there for every single digital marketing agency. So that's definitely a gap that we can kind of cover, right, in terms of enabling more digital marketing agencies to help out with businesses' digital marketing campaigns. So that's what I feel we could kind of improve on. But that being said, I think the global market side of things, we do see the spend, right, the advertising spend across, the United States or the United Kingdom and whatnot, that definitely going down during the COVID-19 pandemic, because naturally, most businesses, right, they fear that, they can't operate and they kind of cut back on their marketing spend and their advertising spend. So we do see that, the marketing spend kind of went down, right, across all platforms, be it Facebook, be it Google, be it Instagram or LinkedIn or whichever it is.
I have to say, it's a running joke here about me and my online shopping habits, but it qualifies me to tell you that I've seen that myself with a lot of websites overseas, that there's always a warning at the top of the page saying we may not be able to fulfill on your order for a month. So in terms of Singapore, what I've found the difference is there is definitely this robustness that's come through during COVID. And do you think actually puts it in a better position moving forward?
Well, I think being able to kind of fulfill on the orders, right, in the sense that, your business can still continue to operate in the COVID-19 pandemic is extremely important because people need to know that, your business is still alive and then you'll still be able to fulfill orders despite the COVID-19 pandemic, right? The thing that you mentioned about, most websites, they kind of need to have a site-wide notification that says, okay, we're still open during the COVID-19 pandemic. I think that's extremely important, right? And obviously for non-essential services, right, for example, chiropractic clinics were not allowed to operate during the circuit breaker period. That itself would be kind of non-avoidable. That's something that we can't dispute. But for businesses that could still operate, then we definitely want to get the message out there that we're still in business and we're here to kind of serve you as our customer.
Jim, I don't know how to ask you this last question because originally it was supposed to be about what is the cost involved in digital marketing, but you talk about having the right mindset, shifting your mindset and all that. It actually kind of sounds priceless to me. So what advice would you give to anyone who needs to sort of unlearn everything they've learned about marketing and shift their mindset? Where do I start? Sorry.
That is a great question, Elliott. So, this is a question that I face every day, when I run my business, right? Because most business owners just come up to me and say, where is the lowest lying fruit? Where should I go? And how should I start, right? So, again, in order to answer that question, right, it really depends. Because depending on your business model, there are really two grown-ups in the room when it comes to digital marketing. It's either Facebook, because Facebook owns Instagram, or Google, because Google also owns YouTube. So, if you think about, the two grown-ups in the room is really either Facebook or Google, right? Typically, we want to start by finding out, how many people are actively searching for your product or service on Google, which gives us a good gauge on whether Google Ads would be a good fit or, SEO would be a good fit for your marketing campaign, right? So, if there aren't a substantial number of people who are actively searching for your product or service, then the best way to create awareness would be running Facebook advertisements or Instagram advertisements, right? Since you could educate people on Facebook on how your revolutionary product or service work, because not many people are actively searching for it. So that's how I would recommend like anyone, to kind of get started on anything at all.
I tell you what, people gotta have to download this podcast and run it on loop. There's just so much to take away.
I'm fascinated. I'm absolutely captivated. Thank you.
We've been speaking with Jim Ng Wei Ta, who is General Manager at Best SEO Marketing. Jim, thank you so much for taking the time. Take care and stay safe.
Yeah. Thanks, Elliott. Thanks, Manisha. Yeah.
To listen to more great interviews, download our podcasts at MoneyFM89.3.sg or download the SPH radio app available on Google Play or the App Store.